Hey YouTube, Mark Kaufman here, and today I am reviewing the Benchmade 940, and this is the BladHQ exclusive model. Now, I have already reviewed the Benchmade 940, and a lot of my thoughts are the same here for this knife, but this one was supplied by the BPEX Pass Around group, and this one is from Jason over at NebuCloud. So thank you again, Jason, for letting me take a look at this knife. And I have to say, I know that you had some negative thoughts about this knife. There were some negative aspects to it, like, well, there was a little bit of a problem with the detent on it and blade play, which it does have a little bit of blade play side to side. I'm not going to touch that. But for me personally, I find this to be a joy to carry. It has actually made me consider picking up another 940 in G10. Now, the great thing about this is that it has M4 steel. That is a very heavy duty carbon steel, and I think it's a great fit for this knife. You have a lot of tip strength here, you have a lot of blade, and then you have a little bit of belly here, and it makes this a great workhorse. Now, I personally wish this was in the aluminum handle or even titanium scales. That would even make it better for me, but I'm not a big fan of the G10. I would probably even dye this like a purple or a blue, but for me, having that G10 means it's going to be stupid light. This thing is very, very light, and I find it to be very well balanced. It's balanced right where you want it to be, and it's going to be a good worker. So how does this compare to a few of these other knives that I have in my collection? So here's the Benchmade Mini Barrage, and then here is a Chris Reeve Small and Cozy, and you can see that it's going to be a lot bigger than a Chris Reeve Small and Cozy, but it's not too much bigger than a Mini Barrage. Now, for me personally, I sold my Benchmade 940 only because I was getting a little tired of it. It just was, everybody had one, everybody knew what it was, and for me, the money just could have been spent on something a little bit more extravagant. Personally, if I had to get one, I would get this and probably buy another Osborne and switch the blades out with the green aluminum. That's probably how I would go about it. Now, as you can see, the action on this thing is just perfect. You just touch it and it goes, opens as it should. You can even do the lock bar swing and you can just open it that way. Really, that doesn't add anything. You can open it just as quick with the thumb stud. And if you really are so inclined, you can, which I am not trained at doing, but you can Spidey flick this open. Makes no sense, but you can do that. Now, this is a Warren Osborne model, and this knife has been around for almost, I believe, 20 years. This design was really geared towards ranch hands and farmers, and he really wanted this knife to be able to take on a lot of the chores that you would encounter in a farm or while taking care of livestock. So he built this knife to have a very strong tip, a really strong lock, and a wonderful blade shape. And I think that still is true today. This knife really does a great job in a modern setting. Now, one of the things that I just don't like is I changed this on mine, but this plunge grind is still a little bit iffy. You can see there you've got a smile in the back there. Just if the plunge could have gone a little further back, you would have had no problem there. And what I mean by this is, like on the Chris Reeve Small and Cozy, you can see that the plunge line there has cleared and you do not have a smile. You still have a nice flat edge here, then you go to your belly, and then you go to your point. Whereas on the Benchmade, you're still seeing a little bit of a smile there, and then you still have your flat, and then you have your belly and point. And this just means that over time that you sharpen this knife, it's going to get bigger, 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 and you're just going to end up with a nice big recurve in the back there. So for me personally, that is really the only downside. I have found no problems with this knife in carry. The only issue is, and I just don't get it why, but the logo here on both sides are exposed M4 steel. I get that the blade is exposed, but I don't know why they have to have the logos here as exposed steel. If you take a look, you can see a little bit of discoloring there, and that is going to end up being rust. When I send this over to RJ Knives, I am going to probably throw a little bit of mineral oil on this just so it doesn't rust in transit. But M4 is a very high carbon steel, and because this is coated, you're going to alleviate that possibility. But having these exposed logos in M4 steel is going to mean that that might rust on you. So definitely not a knife to have in a high humidity environment. So this is my review of the M4 Benchmade Osborne from BladHQ. I think BladHQ did a great job. I did hear some negative aspects of this knife when it came out, but this one so far for me has been absolutely great. So thank you again, Jason, for the opportunity for reviewing this. And RJ, this is going to be off to you for review. So till the next one, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.